Hi, Sevens. Today we're going to be talking about living things and about how scientists classify the world. So, how do we know if something is living or not? I'm sitting out the front of my house and I'm going to switch the camera around in a minute and show you my garden. And we're going to be having a little wander around and having a look at what's living and maybe what isn't living. So, yesterday I asked you to define what the differences are between something that is living, non-living, and dead. So today we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail and then have a little think about what kind of criteria you might use to determine that. So when something is living, we might think, oh, that's pretty easy. You know, like a cat pounces after a ball. So you see it move, you can see that it's alive. Like, what a silly question. But sometimes it can be a little more tricky and we need some questions and some criteria to help us. So there's a little, there's a group of scientists called taxonomists who actually classify living things, but how would they work out how to do that? So I'm sure this has been a process of elimination over many years, but there's a helpful acronym we can use called Mrs. Gren. So MRSGREN, and obviously all those letters stand for something. So there are 7 criteria. So the M, I've already mentioned the first one, is movement. So all living things move. Now sometimes it's difficult to see those things move, and I'm going to just turn you around. Hopefully I can do that while I'm talking to you. I'm going to just pause. Okay, we're back. We're looking at the right way now. So this is my front garden. I'll just show you around quickly. My front gate. And then this is my big veggie patch here. So I have lots of things growing in my garden. So most of this, you'd look at it and go, yeah, it's all living. What are you talking about? But we were talking about movement. So if I hold this really still, I'm sure you can see things moving because it's actually quite windy here today. But do they move on their own? Well, especially flowers, and I've got lots of, you see these bright orange and yellow flowers here at the moment. They're called calendulas, and you can actually use those. They're edible flowers. Often you'll find that in tea. Flowers move and face where the direction of the sun is. So you can see most of these, and I'll just pop my finger here. The front of my house here faces east. So the sun rises in the east and it goes up over this way to the north and eventually to the back of the house and sets in the west. So if we look at some of these flowers, you can see they're actually all facing that same direction generally. And even the plants tend to have their big leaves facing that way because they're chasing the sun. And this one here, which is actually mustard greens, which have gone to seed now because they've got flowers on them, they are chasing the sun. So they actually move according to where the sun is during the day. So that's M. R, and I'm going to get you to write this down in your books because it's really important for you to remember. So M, R, and you can pause this video at any point and do that, or you can do it at the end. R is for respiration. So all living things are made up of cells. And we will explore lots of that next year in Year 8. But also in the second half of our unit, we'll talk about ecosystems and how they gain energy. And we'll talk about food chains and where they get different food, which then converts into energy. So cells turn food energy into energy for things like growth and repair. So in animals, they tend to eat their food, don't they? And they get energy that way. That's how we do it as well. Plants are a little different. They get their energy from the sun and also from nutrients in the ground. So in animals, it also includes breathing. And plants do that through their pores or through their stems and roots. Okay, so we've got M and R. And S, so this is the last part of Mrs., is sensitivity. So all living things can change and respond in their environment. So when my plants Most of them are pretty good here at the moment. But when my plants are dry, like the ground is dry and it hasn't rained for a while, they'll start to wilt and they'll just look a bit tired. Some of those straight ahead, probably looking a little bit like that. That part here is under a really big tree, so it doesn't get as much rain as the rest of the garden, like out here in the front. So they also help me determine whether they need more water or not. Also over here, I've got a rabbit. This rabbit's name is Betty. So Betty, we would all agree, is living. So Betty moves. Betty gains energy from food. And then what about S for sensitivity? So it changes according to the environment. So it's sitting in the sun at the moment. You can see the sun on its back. If it was a really hot 30 or 40 degree day, it would actually go into the shade. It would find a space to move away from that to keep itself cool. So Betty here is also going to need her water bottle filled up because it's empty. And they would eventually tell me by making noise and other things that they need water or food. So growth. So we've done our misses, now we're up to Gren. Growth, G. All living things use energy from respiration to grow. So it's easy when, there we go, Betty's going to have a bit of a move. It's easy to witness when they're young animals because you see them grow rapidly. Like rabbits grow so fast. Within like 2 weeks, they've like at least doubled or more in their size. But it still happens when they get older too. So they grow, sometimes, you know, they eat too much, they grow bigger, they grow fatter. And plants are pretty easy because we see them growing all the time. So this tree in the middle is a cherry tree, which I only planted in winter, and now it's got leaves. And hopefully we'll get some fruit off it. Maybe not this year, but, you know, the following year. This apple tree over here, you can see, has got some blossom on it. So that will then grow, not only in height, but those flowers will hopefully grow into apples. So we can see that in all different aspects here. We've got cabbages growing. So they start off tiny little plants and then they end up growing into big, mature plants that we can eat. So that's G for grow. R for reproduction. All living things can create more living things that have some of their genetic material. So see all these little flowers here. This is actually rocket, like that salad leaf that we eat. It's gone to seed now. So I often will let this go a bit more. So these flowers will then become seeds. And if I plant those seeds, I get more rocket plants. Okay, so E is for excretion. So all living things produce waste that must be removed. Pretty easy with our bunny rabbits because, oh my gosh, they poo so much. Plants also excrete through excreting, they have pores and they excrete oxygen and other gases into the air. So, and plants are really important that way because they actually also absorb the chemicals from the air that help purify our air as well. So that's E for excretion. And N for nutrition. To survive, all living things need energy and nutrients. So really important. My garden, I have to feed it not only water, but I also put lots of compost on here. I sometimes put some manure to give extra nutrients for our vegetables to grow. And then we end up with delicious food. So the next thing I need you to have a little think about is how are we going to work out whether something is living, non-living, or dead? So we're going to use Mrs. Gren. So if I was to look at the cherry tree, is it moving? It moves. It grows. Respiration. Yeah, we know that it uses energy to grow and repair. S, sensitivity. Absolutely. If I didn't water this, it would not only die, it would also look very, very limp. G, definitely growing. There were no leaves on it. It was just 3 sticks before. R, reproduction. It's going to grow cherries. Excretion, we know that all plants excrete oxygen and other gases. And N, it needs nutrition to survive. So if I don't water it and feed it, it's going to die. So yep, definitely it's living. So what about the rabbit hutch? Let's have a little think about that one. Does it grow? Does it move? If we go through all of that, Mrs. Gren, we would kind of go, no. So we know that it's not living. If I was to, if I just turn around here to this plant, I don't know if you can see, but we've got a pretty shriveled up looking leaf there. So if we know that it's come from a plant and we know the plant was living, but now it's not, then that's dead. So we know that that's a dead thing. Okay, so have a go at answering some of the questions that I'm setting, and then I'm going to do another little video talking about how living things are grouped according to a scientific principle.